Welcome back to Sports by GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Jeremy Lapidus. If you are just tuning in, we have just finished our basketball coverage for the day. We talked about the Celtics game 4, and we talked about their path to the finals. They are the first team this season to punch their ticket to the finals, their second finals in 3 years. We'll see if they are able to finally get one, but if you want to hear more about that, go back and watch that. In this segment here, we're going to talk about hockey for a little bit. The game last night put the Stars up 2-1 in the series over Edmonton. They get a win on the road, officially taking back home ice advantage. Jason Robertson puts up a hat trick to propel them past the Oilers. We're going to talk about that and much more in this game in just a second. But before we do, remember, if you are if you want to be a bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net. Go ahead and leave a tip or donation with a message in it. That message should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, or everybody else around the world to see. If you have a burning question about sports, anything at all you want me to cover, go ahead and leave a comment. I will get to it as soon as I can, or go ahead and leave a donation at gsmcpodcast.net. I appreciate anybody for leaving a comment, asking a question, and everybody for tuning in and talking some sports with me here on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. But like I was saying, we are going to move into some hockey coverage here today. The NHL is heating up. Jason Robertson has a hat trick, leading the Stars past the Edmonton Oilers in Edmonton to give them a 2-1 series lead over Connor McDavid, Stuart Skinner, Leon Draisaitl, and the Edmonton Oilers. And this was a very interesting game, right? Just like in the last couple games, and like I was saying when we broke a little bit of this series down yesterday, the Stars start slow. They continue to start slow every single game. They've had less than 10 shots in the first period in every single game, and Game 3 was no different. This one caught my eye especially because they fell down 2-0 in the first period, and they were outshot, I believe, like 15-4. They only had 4 shots in that period, and when we were breaking down the keys to this series, it seemed like the Oilers were hitting on all cylinders, and the Stars were not, if you only watch that first period. Like I was saying yesterday, the keys to this series for each team. For the Oilers, defense. Blocking those shots, not playing defense better and being a little more aggressive, leading to, breakaways and stuff like that. That's what they did in the first period. They did that awesome. And then and that's what their key was. For the Stars, their key was get pucks on net. They didn't do that in the first period, and you see what happened. They fall down 2-0 to a team that just looked better than them. But for the rest of that game, the Stars got pucks on net. They created scrums in front of the net. Stuart Skinner made a bunch of great saves. But the Edmonton defense really isn't good enough to stop every single scrum, and that's what we saw. I believe a majority of their goals were scored off of rebounds, putback opportunities. There were about 10 guys in front of the net for at least 3 of their goals. They were all there scraping for the puck, trying to get it in the net, and it just goes in. The Edmonton defense in a pickle like that, Stuart Skinner in a pickle like that, wasn't good enough to make those stops, and the Stars' offense is. And they took advantage of that late in the game, in the second period, in the third period especially. Jason Robertson, the star young player emerging last season, has a hat trick. Like I said, they were down 2-0 after the first period. That is not the situation you want to be against an Edmonton Oilers team with an offense as high-powered as theirs. You don't want to give them that momentum. You don't want to give them that confidence, because if you give them that confidence, they're going to continue to play the way they are. Like I said, there are takeaways, good and bad, for both of these teams, and it's going to be tough for the Oilers to rebound from this one because everything was going the way they planned it in that first period. But hockey's a long game, and it's a grueling game. And they just were not able to keep that energy up for the entirety of the game. We saw it in the first period, and then it looked like they got comfortable. They fell back into their old rhythm. If they want to compete, if they want to win in this series, they need to play like that every single period. And it's not all on them. The Stars also adjusted, right? the Stars adjusted and they just started putting pucks on net. They weren't looking for that perfect shot, playing perfectionist offense. But the Stars just are a deeper team. And that's really the issue here for the Oilers. They're kind of outmatched on just about every single level, aside from offense, where they can outmatch even an all-star team, maybe. But there's a lot of good and a lot of bad to take away from this game. Like I said, the Oilers, they played them tough. They were able to tie the game. Like I said, 5-3 is the final score, but with an empty netter, it's really only 4-3. Box score will tell you differently, but it really only was a 1-goal game. Stuart Skinner made a lot of great saves. He played a great game, and if he continues to play like this, they will win more games than they are right now. Now, what worked in the Vancouver series was switching goaltenders, and that lit a spark under them. They switched goaltenders. They started with Stuart Skinner, then they switched to Pickard, and then they switched back to Skinner. So, we'll see what they do here. Maybe they make a switch, because that is what kind of lit a fire after they lost 2 games in a row. And when they went back on elimination, they switched back again. If I'm the Oilers, I don't make a switch because Skinner played a great game. This was not his fault. You can look at the box score and say, oh, he gave up 4 goals. But he didn't give up any easy goals. All the goals that he gave up were, like I said, big scrums in front of the net. He piles and piles of bodies there just trying to get the puck elevated into the net, and that's how it went in. You can't blame a goalie for that. At that point, if you're a goalie, you kind of just have to hope and pray and hope that your instincts can block the shot for you, because you are not seeing the puck in that mess. Maybe some goalies are, but the vast majority of them are not seeing it there. He played a great game. Connor McDavid had a goal in this one, but like I said, the main story is Jason Robertson powering them with a hat trick. He's someone that's been relatively quiet this postseason. And the Stars luckily haven't needed him to be too loud. You know, they have plethora of resources. Too many of them, some might say. Wyatt Johnson, Miro Heiskanen on defense, Rupe Hintz, lots and lots of talent that they don't need a guy like Jason Robertson. But when he's on, if he can continue this pace, now he doesn't need a hat trick every single night for them to win. Certainly doesn't hurt though. If he can continue to get himself into the score sheet, it's going to help these Dallas Stars immensely. And it's a good thing to see that all of their stars are starting to produce. You know, they've been relying on some of their older guys. Sagan has been huge for them. He's a little older. It's good to see some of the young guys get into it. Jamie Benn has had a huge couple goals for them in this postseason. And it's been really good to see the contribution from everybody across the entire depth, the entire field from the Stars. Hello, Kelsey. Welcome into the show. But if we're looking at the future of this series, we got one more game in Edmonton, and the Stars need to take this one. They can't fall behind 3-1. The Stars are too good and too deep of a team for them to fall behind and be able to make a comeback like they did against the Vancouver Canucks. The Canucks, as good as they were dealing with some goalie injuries, and as good as Sheelos was in that series, he wasn't, all-star level goalie that the Stars have in Jake Ottinger. And that can absolutely make the difference, especially against a team with such great snipers. So we'll see what happens. The Stars played great in that second half, but if the Oilers can play like they did in that first period for even 2 periods of a game, they probably win. So they just need to be able to keep that energy and intensity up. But we'll see what happens as the series continues. Game 4 is tomorrow. In our next segment, we are going to transition out of hockey. We are going to move on to the baseball diamond. For the second day in a row, we had some big breaking news. Angel Hernandez, the infamous umpire, officially retired, effective immediately. We'll talk about everything that kind of leads up to that, and the whole journey to finally get him to retire. So stick around for that. We will be right back here on Sports by GSMC Podcast Network.